Well, good morning, everyone. How are you? Good morning, Mermaid. Hey, preschool granny. My husband's in here. He went back to work today. Hey, Walking Dead. Where's Britt? You guys are kind of like peas in a pod. I see you guys together quite a bit. Good morning, Karma. How is everyone doing? I see GB has already gifted a Crime Lines and Lies membership, but I did not see who got it. Hey, Missing with Manda. I apologize for yesterday. I just wasn't feeling, I'd say I wasn't even feeling 40% yesterday. But I was watching our local news, and a case that I have followed heavily since 1995 was on my local news saying huge information was coming out about Morgan Nick. And it was huge information, don't get me wrong, but it just wasn't a huge surprise to anyone that's followed the case. But we're going to talk about it today. When people, not you guys, discredit law enforcement, it comes out in the end that there's a lot more to it. You see, in 1995, DNA wasn't really a thing. And the DNA that was found was old. So they had to find a special lab in Texas, which was extremely expensive. And, well, it looks like they found their culprit. Before I get to it, look at this that Katie sent to me this morning. Now, I don't know if DT Driver is going to go for this. I planned on dressing OJ as Batman for Halloween. The thing is Wednesday's a girl, and as we know now, OJ's a boy. But is this not the cutest costume you've ever seen? And, OJ's a real asshole, too. I mean, he would really be into this. Well, let's take a second. We know today is Wednesday. Time to say hi to Mike.
Oh, guess what day it is? Guess what day it is? Huh? Anybody? Julie, hey, guess what day it is? Oh, come on, I know you can hear me. Mike. What day is it, Mike? Leslie, guess what today is?
It's hump day.
Woohoo! And it's October. Now, a lot of people don't wear pink in October. It's more of a spring and summer fun color. But we like to wear pink on Wednesdays.
It's adorable. It's so fetch. What is fetch? Oh, it's like slang from England. So if you're from Africa, why are you white? Oh my God, Karen, you can't just ask people why they're white. Could you give us some privacy for like 1 second? Yeah, sure. Okay, you should just know that we don't do this a lot, so this is like a really huge deal. We want to invite you to have lunch with us every day for the rest of the week. Oh, it's okay. Coolness. So we'll see you tomorrow. On Wednesdays, we wear pink. Oh my God.
On Wednesdays, we wear pink. Except OJ, he doesn't wear pink. Well, he's got a pink tongue. Everything else is black. Black ears, black pads on his paws, the whole 9 yards. Sonia Allen, thank you so much for the super sticker. I will get a hold of you today. I did not know that, too, Boston moms. This is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Well, okay. All right, so let's talk about some other cases. I'm not crossing cases. The case of Morgan Nick. Hold on, I have to sneeze, and you certainly don't want to hear that. Dang it, it got sucked back up. All right, so we look at the case of Kyron Horman, Michael Vaughn, Summer Wells, Harmony Montgomery, who, by the way, has her justice because her father is in jail forever and a day for her murder. They just haven't found her body. Sebastian Rogers, Oakley Carlson, the West Boys, Cody Bixby. There's many others. This case right here shows you that at some point it will get figured out. It will get figured out. So this dude, who they have talked about for years in the case of Morgan Nick, Billy Jack Links, born and raised in Crawford County. He lived in Van Buren, Arkansas as an adult. He died in prison. This says in 2000. For some reason, I thought he died in 2020. A few weeks after the abduction of Morgan Nick, he tried to abduct another girl. Yes, he did. The FBI wanted to talk to anyone that knew him. Well, they took it a step further this time. We're going to go back a little bit because some people don't know about this case. This is a huge case in Arkansas, Oklahoma, northern Louisiana. Everybody, I remember the day this broke on our local news. And I just kept thinking, she's just at a little league game, catching fireflies, and somebody grabbed her. Now, this is before Facebook, the tweets, and all that stuff. But already people were blaming her parents. Her dad was nowhere around. And they kept saying, oh, he's got to be. He was probably in the woods. He was probably in the woods watching. He wasn't anywhere around. Her mother was sitting there on the bleachers watching a little league game. Okay? They have nothing to do with Morgan's kidnapping. Nothing. Now then, Billy Jack was in a red truck with a ladder rack. Some would say a camper. That's why I have always said, do people study other cases before they commit their own crimes? Case in point, in the disappearance of Summer Wells, Dawn Wells reports seeing a red truck with a white ladder rack. Go figure. And no, I'm not saying Don did anything to his daughter, but it's just interesting to me how these nuggets, these details in these cases get brought up in other cases.
What happened to Morgan Nick? It's a question many people have asked in the nearly 3 decades since the little girl from Ozark, Arkansas disappeared.
Well, last November, police finally revealed a new lead in this cold case, releasing the first and only person of interest. But that man, Billy Jack Links, died before ever telling what he knew.
Love her dress, by the way. Now then, this is something that was cleared up yesterday. They said it was never a cold case. Never a cold case. Anyone Billy Jack ever spoke to, had a beer with, bought cigarettes from, breathed on, they have been chasing down and interviewing for the past almost 30 years because she was abducted in June of 1995. So this cold case shit needs to stop. To be quite honest, law enforcement probably wants us to think things are cold cases, so they quit getting weirdos calling them.
But that doesn't mean the case is closed. TV11's Mercedes McKay dug deeper into Link's past and his connection to this investigation.
This is the area where Morgan Nick was last seen nearly 27 years ago on June 9th, 1995. It's a mystery that's not only shaped her family, but the whole town of Alma, and they aren't giving up any hope.
Even though more
To this day, if you go through Alma, Arkansas, you are still going to see flyers up about Morgan Nick, because her mama was never about to just go home and wait. She has been front and center.
time has continued to go by, our belief is that if we fight hard enough, we will find the truth and we will bring her home.
It was a hot summer day in Alma, Arkansas. Colleen Nick's family was invited to a Little League baseball game and decided to make the short trip down from their home in Ozark.
We'd never been to the baseball field. It was our first time there. It's 1 block away from the police department.
Towards the end of the game, Colleen said her daughter Morgan wanted to go catch fireflies with the other kids in the parking lot near the field. She never imagined that could be the last conversation she'd have with her little girl.
She sat down to take sand out of her shoes, and the older children walked off and left her. And that was the last time that anybody saw her.
Just that quick. She was getting sand out of her shoes. She sat down. The other kids ran off, as kids do. And then she's gone. Now, the fact that in 1995, people thought that this beautiful woman really did something to harm her child still makes me so angry. Or that her father, who was nowhere around, did something, really pisses me off. But that's okay, because they know now. We had somebody in chat on Monday, and they were like, are we allowed to ask questions about Tyler Vaughn? What part of 4 suspects do y'all, not you, I mean this person, does this person not get? Not to be grim, but in 20 minutes, how do you kill someone, clean up, and hide an entire human body? Okay? That's an idiot for you. It's an idiot. But people were looking straight at the mom, even though she was seen by other people sitting there, and people saw her running around yelling, Morgan, 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 begging anyone that was walking around to help her find her daughter. And she thought she would be found fast. She really thought she was somewhere around there and had just like wandered off to play, went to check something out, and got lost. Never occurred to her that there was a predator watching the kids at that baseball park.
In a city of about 3,000 people, word traveled fast about Morgan's disappearance. Alma Police Chief Jeff Pointer wasn't with the department at the time, but says he remembers hearing about it instantly.
You know, as days went on, you know, it's almost like that fear that this is not what's supposed to happen in a small town.
Now, almost 27 years later, that thought still haunts Chief Pointer, but in a different way, now that he leads the department.
You look at it as we failed our job. You know, we didn't and haven't brought Morgan home, so we failed at what we were supposed to do.
Since then, the Alma Police Department has never stopped working Morgan's case. Chief Pointer says new leads have come in daily since she was taken.
I can't say that we're focused on one lead. You know, there's several good leads that we've gotten that we're still working.
While police continued their search for answers, last November, the FBI announced a major development in the case. Investigators named Billy Jack Links as a person of interest.
Billy Jack. They have talked about Billy Jack, I would say, since the late 90s. Since the late 90s, they have. This guy is quite the perv, okay? He makes Stephen Stearns look like an altar boy, okay? Question is, how many other victims did he have? Because you can't tell me Morgan was the first. Other children have been found essayed in the area, dead. This is how brazen he is. A few weeks after Morgan's abduction, he's at a damn Sonic. And tries to grab another girl. But now he's getting a suntan in hell because that's where he went. Good morning, Muscles.
Asking the public for any information about him. Lynx was no stranger to law enforcement, though.
No, not at all. Look at that. Location Sonic, Broadway and South 5th, where he tried to grab that girl. Here is the problem. And of course, this is only my opinion. When they say anybody that knows Billy Jack Lynx, reach out to us. Well, guess what? Birds of a feather fly together. Everybody that Billy Jack was around, well, they're a prevert too. Think they're going to sit around and be like, oh, yeah, man, used to play cards with him every Thursday night. Talked about little kids. Swapped Polaroids. No.
According to court documents from August 1995, he attempted to abduct an 11-year-old girl at a Sonic in Van Buren, Arkansas. It happened just 2 months after Morgan's abduction and only 8 miles away from the Wofford baseball field where she was last seen. Lynx was charged and later convicted for sexual solicitation of a child in the Van Buren case.
So when people say the internet brought these pervs out of the woodwork, no, my friends. No. You see, there's only 7 deadly sins. And it doesn't really matter if you have a telephone, a VCR, a camcorder from Sears, or the World Wide Web. I got all my W's tangled. You see, evil will find a way. So criminal solicitation of a minor, and that was before this, keyboards, way before. Look at the man that took Adam Walsh.
Did for sexual solicitation of a child in the Van Buren case. But one key detail stuck out from the investigation. The vehicle he drove, a red 1986 Chevrolet pickup. For years now, the Alma Police Department has consistently connected a similar...
Isn't it odd that Dawn Wells, and I don't know why this is stuck in my mind, reported seeing a red truck on his road. Nobody else saw it except for Dawn. Now, other people saw it at the Little League field.
A red truck, but one with a white camper shell to Morgan's disappearance.
We have it on video the night of the ball game that Morgan was taken, and that truck can be seen in it, and the owner or whoever was in the vehicle has never been identified.
Court documents show that during witness interviews from Lynx's conviction, a neighbor told police they, quote, think Lynx had a camper shell on his red pickup and believes it was 2 months ago when he saw the camper. While Chief Pointer says they...
No, sounds like it's him to me. I've had some questions over the years. People have said, well, how did they get the video? Well, because people were videotaping their children's baseball game, the Little League game. as they panned around, you know how we used to do back in the 90s. We can't all be Oliver Stone or Steven Spielberg. We put the camera down at some point because those bitches were heavy. They got a whole VCR tape in it. Everywhere we went, we looked like Channel 2 friggin' news. So people that were videoing the Little League game caught the red truck.
They've never been able to find and question who owned that truck.
It may not be who took Morgan, but we've never been able to identify who the owner of that truck was.
As for Billy Jack Links, prior to his 1995 conviction, records show he was charged with sexual abuse in 1992. He was sentenced to 6 years in prison, but he wouldn't serve that full time, dying behind bars in 2000 before the FBI could ever name him as a person of interest in Morgan Nick's case. While the mystery still remains of who took her while she was innocently catching fireflies, Chief Pointer says his department won't stop searching for answers.
Until we can bring her home, then we haven't done our job, and it's all about Morgan. I mean, we have to fight for her.
We are looking for you so hard so you can come home.
For the Nick family.
And this poor woman, her hair turned white. Turned white. Danny Dane, have you spoken to Colleen since yesterday, Brooks? No, I did not bother Colleen yesterday. She is welcome to come on this show anytime she wants, because between her and Mark Klass, Polly Klass's father, or Kloss, let me tell you what. Well, and John Walsh, I'm not going to take anything away from him. Their lives have revolved not just around their child that's missing or that was murdered, but other children. And what the Morgan Nick Foundation has done, not just in Arkansas, but in other states, deserves a huge round of applause. The thing is with Colleen, she's heard the name Billy Jack Links for umpteen years. She's not going to stop until she has her daughter's body. However, I did hear her say yesterday that there's always hope that she is still out there somewhere. Alive, she means. And I don't want anyone taking that hope from her. You all remember the case of Sean Hornbeck. A few months ago, I did a recap on his case. People suspected his parents, his mom and stepdad, all the time. The FBI said true abduction. That doesn't seem to register with some people. Look at how Michael Vaughn's parents are treated. That's how they're treated. They're treated like they did something. And Sean Hornbeck's mother said, every time you tell me there's no hope he's alive, I become more angered and I become more diligent to find my son. Well, guess what? He was alive. And now that there's new testing, a lot of these cases that people consider cold are being solved. Let's take a second and thank our friend Kimberly Mann for making it rain.
Then we haven't done our job, and it's all about Morgan. I mean, we have to fight for her.
We are looking for you so hard so you can come home.
For the Nick family, they continue to hold on to hope for a return. or at least closure in knowing what happened to her.
Our belief is that somewhere somebody knows the truth about Morgan, and that someday we will know that truth, that we will find that.
Morgan's mother has now devoted her life to helping families like hers through the Morgan Nick Foundation. The Morgan Nick case is still an ongoing investigation, and like we have said this whole time, if you know anything about her disappearance, you're asked to contact the Alma Police Department or the FBI.
Dedicated her life, not just for her daughter's justice, but other children. All right, let's go through the details of the case, and then we will get to the update that we all saw coming, but now there's ironclad concrete evidence behind it. Ironclad. Do you guys remember that Sylvia Brown, that psychic that was always on the Montel Williams show? She's the one that told Sean Hornbeck's parents that Sean was dead. She's the one that told Amanda Berry's mother that Amanda was dead. Well, she also gave a location to Morgan Nick that in no way, shape, or form would make sense. My God. Now, also, Stephanie Harlow several years ago did a show about Morgan Nick, and I'm bringing her up today because in the recent days, her husband passed away. They are estranged, but they have children together, and it's absolutely horrible. And it's also horrible the way people are talking about her children's father. Not quite understanding people that have a keyboard that want to kick people while they're down. That would be a show for another time.
This red truck, you see it there with a camper shell on the back of it. Of course, Morgan Nick, that 6-year-old girl kidnapped from a ball field June 9th, 1995 in Elma, Arkansas. She has yet to be found. There is a lot to dive into this case. And I first want to welcome folks who are just joining us on KRK.com, Fox16.com, and across all of our digital platforms. I am Mitch McCoy. Thanks for joining us for another Monday Night Mystery. You know the case. Use the hashtag Monday Night Mystery right here on Facebook, and you have walk us through some of the key timelines available on Morgan Nick's abduction.
Mitch, it would be hard to believe that not everyone who's watching tonight have heard about Morgan Nick, but we still want to get that information out. We might want to jog some folks.
And the reason people don't know, a lot of it is because there wasn't the internet there. There isn't anybody in that area of Arkansas or Oklahoma that have not heard of Morgan Nick. No one. Oh my goodness, Muscles, what are you doing? Muscles just gifted 20 Crime Lines and Lies membership. Who's getting them? Ann, Tracy, Super Nanny, Heather Mack, Prickly Pear, In the Dax. What a cool name. Marlena, Tiny Tumbleweed. My goodness, Muscles. You're going to get it, girl. Your birthday's coming up. You don't be doing that.
Memories about this. Morgan Nick was 6 years old. She went missing, as you stated, June 9th, 1995 from the Alma ballpark. It's been 26 years, and lots of leads later, Morgan Nick has not been found. But tonight we are talking about a red truck that we now have a picture of. They believe is a suspect vehicle, and we want to showcase that truck in hopes that someone out there may have information about it. Again, 26 years. This family deserves to know what happened to 6-year-old Morgan Nick.
I have a question. I don't know. I just thought of it. Dainty Dane. What was Billy Jack Link's driving when he was at the Sonic a few weeks after Morgan's abduction, when he tried to abduct the 11-year-old girl. Do you know what he was driving? Was he in the red truck that time as well and just took the camper off of it? I just thought of that. I don't know. Hang on. Okay, Danny Dane, thank you. A truck just like, okay, thank you. A truck just like that same camper shell. Well, there you go. There you go. Damn.
So we're going to talk about that tonight. And that's what this show is all about. Talking about these unsolved cases in hopes that we shed some light on it and that maybe jog someone's memory. And then we can talk about this and drum up even more leads for this case. So we're going to talk about this red truck.
All right, we're talking about the red truck, and let's just recap for folks what we know about this red truck. We know, according to authorities, it was at the ball field on June 9th, 1995, and authorities need your help identifying the owner of this red truck. Authorities saying that they have not been able to identify the person of this red truck. So I want to get to the panel here. Kelly Ward and Sergeant Thomas Cole. I want to begin with Sergeant Thomas Cole. I'm interested in hearing your take on this because a lot of people on Facebook right now commenting on, somebody may have gotten rid of this truck by now. I mean, gosh, we're talking almost 26 years ago. Walk me through the importance of this red truck. And is this photo still valuable 26 years later, Sergeant Thomas Cole, Major Crimes Detective?
Yeah, absolutely, Mitch. Even though absolutely a lot of time has passed, having something solid like this, something that people can share around and show to their friends, it may be able to jog a memory. There could be folks that were out there that night that maybe just hearing a description of a red truck, it may not have sparked something in their memory, but when you actually get to see it, suddenly there's the potential that it may pull up a memory that they didn't even really know they had.
Exactly. And it's a 1986 red truck with the camper shell, very common vehicle, especially at the time. It's not so much common right now. I don't mean in 2024. Snow had a question. Was that not in their search radius? Oh, absolutely it was. But we don't know where the fool went. Neighbors recall him having a red truck, but don't exactly know when the camper shell came off.
And while the truck may have been kind of gotten rid of, it may have been sold several times by now. Of course, we've got records that may be able to kind of send us back to the time that we're talking about here, and we may be able to start kind of backtracking. And at the very least, it's something tangible that we have now that can kind of point us in a direction, if only it will spark somebody's memory and give us kind of something to look at.
Turning to Kelly Ward, a former prosecutor here. Kelly, the photo is up on everyone's screens right now. Walk me through, from a prosecutor standpoint, what you see in this photo.
Well, I think it's very important, like Sergeant Cole said, that this is something tangible. This is information that you can build an investigation on. You're going to have, they're sharing that on their Facebook page. We're publishing on our show tonight. People are going to be talking about this red truck. If you remember back when we did the first show, and I know in other shows and other investigative reports, they were talking about a red truck with a white shell, and they showed us that this is what it might look like. Well, now we have an actual picture of a white truck. A red truck with a white shell that was at the ball field. That I presume it was at the ball field that night is kind of what we're learning. So this is huge. I mean, this is information. This was a big case. that a lot of people in the state of Arkansas and even, all over the country have heard about this case. They just need to go back in their memory and start thinking about when they've seen it,
where they've seen it. Hey, if it's the wrong truck, the investigators will figure that out. Okay? They'll figure that out. Guess what? Today is Kimberly Mann's 38th anniversary. She said, thanks, y'all. I got married at 17 and beat a lot of crappy odds. I tell you what, I love that. Everybody, come on. Let's give some internet hugs, claps, the whole 9 yards to our friend Kimberly Mann. She's celebrating a huge anniversary today. Happy anniversary to you. I see why your husband stuck around for so long. You got great legs and you're a super, super person.
A red truck like this, who owned it, call the police department. And this is something that they can start tracking down. The make, the model, the year, all those things. Go back through the owners, like Sergeant Cole was saying, you can trace back a vehicle, through records with either, Arkansas Department of Finance Administration, or, if it's in Oklahoma. It's a big task, but nothing is too big to solve this case.
You're absolutely right.
I remember when the red truck hit our local news, and they're like, if anyone has seen this red truck with a white camper, let us know. Well, hell, I was like, Papa Jack has one. So does Uncle Leon. Because, everybody was looking at everybody with a red truck and a camper. Remember back in the day when, people had campers all the time? Danny Dane, I'm going to put the link up if you want to come up. I would love to hear your knowledge of this case, because I know you know a lot. Yeah, no shit. When they were asking about this truck, it's like, well, shit, how do you narrow that down? Go to any Saturday garage sale. You're going to see 5 of them.
If you're just joining us, good evening to you. I'm Mitch McCoy. You're watching Monday Night Mystery. Want to let you guys know, for folks just joining us on Facebook, you can interact with the panel, ask questions.
It is one thing to kind of put out a description, to say a red pickup or a pickup with a camper shell, but that might mean different things to different people. We all kind of have our own biases that are going to push us to kind of a certain visual image. And so people might be thinking of totally different trucks, different styles of trucks. But putting this out and knowing that, it's the only.
All right, we have a question. Kimberly Mann, Brooks, was he ever questioned in her case before they popped him with the girl at Sonic? Yes, but he wouldn't speak. He was already incarcerated, and so they didn't have to make him talk. Nope, he wouldn't say anything. Not a word.
Only driver at that park that they haven't identified just tells you that they've got to be on the right track. So I think that the biggest push now needs to be to get this photo in front of as many people as we possibly can.
Okay, and the person who's responsible for that is law enforcement, and then working with the media. Latricia Woodruff, a police and communications expert. What's the strategy here? Obviously, they're doing it around a very critical time, and I'm talking about the documentary that is in the process of airing just days from now.
You're right. The documentary is really used to drum up some more leads for this case as well. And I'm watching Facebook here, and that's why I keep looking off. But a lot of people are talking about, why are we just seeing this truck? Apparently, they just realized that they may have had a picture of this truck. They're asking, why do we believe this the suspect? And I think Sergeant Cole spoke a little bit about that, and you as well, Mitch, in saying that we've heard that this was the only vehicle that they had not attached a person to. So logically thinking, this person could have had something to do with it. People have been saying all along that there was a red truck there. And again, we did have a picture of a truck that was similar, but there is nothing like seeing the truck that they actually believe may have been involved in this. Like Kelly said, laying your eyes on that. Folks are talking about, oh, that truck is long gone. It may be long gone by now, but we know, or someone out there knows, who used to own this truck, who drove this truck. So yeah, you may lose some evidence should this be the truck. However, you know who drove that truck back then. There's someone out there who knows that. So putting this on Facebook, getting it out so people can see it on TV, anywhere that you can, and having people actually lay eyes on the truck that they believe the suspect drove that night is very, very helpful in this case.
You're absolutely right. If you're just joining us, good evening to you all. You can vote now in our poll. We want to know what you think. Do you think this is going to be the piece of evidence?
Oh, it is the piece of evidence, especially now. Especially now. And not everybody keeps up with their tag, tax, and title, if you know what I mean. Especially people like this guy. Don't think they didn't go through all of the DMV records waiting for anyone that registered the red truck with the white camper. Imagine the fear that little Morgan was going through.
That brings Morgan home. And we're going to continue to watch those results come in tonight. If you're just joining us, new evidence alert. The Elmo Police Department in Arkansas just releasing over the weekend a photo of the truck that they believe could be connected to Morgan Nick's kidnapping. This photo, they need to identify the person who owns this red pickup truck. And you see that camper shell there on the back. And a lot of people asking about the DMV. I do think it's very interesting that people are talking about that, because we talked about it in our previous show as well. We know that authorities have not only searched Arkansas DMV records, they've also searched DMV records over in Oklahoma because it's so close to the state line. Sergeant Thomas Cole, Major Crimes Detective, I want to know what possibility is there that this photo could be cleaned up? I mean, obviously it appears, and Kelly and I were talking about this earlier, it appears that there's maybe some.
Tell you what, the devil is very patient. Good people are in a hurry, but the devil's very patient. For him to sit there and just watch and wait. Morgan happened to be the little girl that sat down to get sand out of her shoes. The other children ran off because that's what kids do. I don't know why people give those kids hell and say, why did they leave her? Why did they leave her? Why did they leave her? Because they're not adults. Because they're not adults. They're thinking she'll get her sand out of her shoes and she'll catch up. But he sat, he observed, and he waited.
Some bleachers in the background. Is there any way that this photo can be cleared up any more than what it is, maybe through the FBI?
Yeah, there's definitely a possibility when you're dealing with photographs and kind of enhancing those photographs. First, it depends on what you're starting with and how good is that picture that you're starting with. What's the quality of it? If it's a printed picture, like say like an old Polaroid, how old is it? But then there are some really skilled technicians. I know there are some at the FBI that we've used before, but they can go through and potentially get a few more details out of a photo. it's always, when we call them and ask them, no matter how much information I give them, they always say, just send me the picture and I'll see what I can do. So you can't really look at it just kind of quickly from this standpoint and tell for sure, but it's definitely worth a shot. And that's exactly, I think, what the FBI will tell them if they were to contact them about enhancing that photograph.
Kelly Ward, former prosecutor, interested in your take on this photo as well. From a prosecutor standpoint, if the suspect is still alive, and again, I say if the suspect is still alive because it's 26 years ago, what does this do in a courtroom when you have a photo like this?
I think this photo is great corroboration of the witnesses' statements and what would be their eventual testimony at a trial, because I believe it was the children, the older children that were playing with Morgan that saw the red truck, if I'm not mistaken. And they described it. They gave a description to the police, and they also gave a description of the person they saw her talking to. So here we have photographic evidence that corroborates those witness statements. You know, when you have just testimony, it can be very powerful, but when you have an actual picture, a photograph of the truck, I mean, that's just so much more to show a jury. Look, not only did these kids remember seeing this truck, well, kids now, they're adults, remember seeing this truck, but here is a picture of a truck that fits the description exactly at the ball field at that time.
Exactly. It's extremely important. And it took a long time, as I remember, for the other children to recollect the red truck and the description of the man that was trying to talk to them. True. But they certainly, in my opinion, solved the case. This is from Unreal True Crime, put together a great synopsis of Morgan's case. And yesterday certainly gave me chills because we've been waiting on this for almost 30 years.
Investigators of the criminal world, we're on a mission to uncover the most shocking crimes and get inside the minds of those who commit them. Or children. Morris was known to be a loving and kind father. Those who knew the couple said they embraced their parental responsibilities, doing everything in their power to make life easier for their children. Though Morris and Colleen initially seemed happy, challenges soon surfaced in their relationship. When Morgan was 6, they decided to separate, which ultimately led to a divorce. The process, however, was amicable, and they never fought over the custody of their children. The children primarily lived with Colleen, a devoted mother who always put her children first. Morgan and Colleen shared a close bond, spending most of their time together. Morgan excelled academically, despite her young age. Having just completed kindergarten, her family could already envision her thriving in elementary school. Personality-wise, Morgan was a shy child with a big heart. She loved apples and was fond of cats, leading her mother to allow her to have one as a pet. Despite her shyness, Morgan was actively involved as a Girl Scout and enjoyed playing with other kids. She dreamt of becoming a circus artist or a doctor when she grew up. On June 9, 1995, Colleen received an invitation from a friend to watch a minor league baseball game in Alma, Arkansas. Thinking Morgan might enjoy watching other kids play.
Well, I wouldn't call it minor league. It was little league, but anyhow.
She asked her to accompany her to the game, about 30 minutes away from their home. It was a night game, starting at 9 p.m. Upon arriving, the stands were already packed, but Colleen managed to find a spot for herself and Morgan. However, 6-year-old Morgan soon grew bored and began fidgeting with her shoelaces. Despite being a calm child, usually hesitant to engage with strangers, 2 older kids approached her. They introduced themselves as Jessica and Ty, aged 8 and 10 respectively. There are different accounts of what happened next. In one version, Morgan asked her mother if she could play with Jessica and Ty, but Colleen initially declined. Concerned about the unfamiliar surroundings and the packed venue of almost 300 people, Colleen was hesitant to let Morgan wander off. However, Colleen's friends urged her to let Morgan play.
I remember going to the ball fields, whether it was soccer, baseball, softball. Our parents didn't think anything of it because guess what? The place is packed with parents. Packed. Nobody thinks anything's going to happen. Kids are running all over the place, watching the game, getting some popcorn, trading Skittles. You know, come on. Nobody thought anything of it.
Assuring her she was being overprotective and that Morgan would be fine. Eventually, Colleen relented. The kids mentioned wanting to run up a nearby hill to catch fireflies. With the game nearing its end around 10:30 p.m., Colleen allowed Morgan to go, but only for a short while. In another version, when Jessica and Ty invited Morgan to catch fireflies, Morgan's innate shyness made her decline. Yet Colleen's friends thought it would be good for Morgan to interact with other kids. Colleen then persuaded a reluctant Morgan to go with them, even if it meant leaving her mother's side. What's certain is Morgan left the stands with the two children. While Colleen tried to keep an eye on them, she got distracted when the baseball game ended and teams came into the stands to greet their families. The next time Colleen looked for the children, she saw Jessica and Ty returning without Morgan. Concerned, she immediately asked them about her daughter's whereabouts. They replied that the girl had disappeared while everyone was emptying sand from their shoes, leaning against Colleen's car. Subsequent investigations revealed that while Jessica and Ty sat at the front of the vehicle shaking out their shoes, Morgan was alone at the back emptying hers. Another significant and worrying detail was that the children insisted they saw a creepy man talking to Morgan before she vanished. Confused and anxious, Colleen immediately raised the alarm, and the adults present at the baseball field helped her search the nearby areas for her missing daughter. However, hours passed in the search without results, and Colleen decided to report the incident to the local police. Those who knew Colleen highlighted her kind nature and how she was always willing to help those in need. Therefore, when she needed support in searching for her child, many showed their solidarity. Additionally, being a devoted mother who always looked out for her children made the community even more outraged at the kidnapper or kidnappers who took Morgan away from her family. On the day she disappeared, Morgan was a beautiful girl with blonde hair and blue eyes. Before going to the baseball game with her mother, she had attended her Girl Scouts activities and was wearing the organization's green shirt, blue denim shorts, and white tennis shoes. Another distinguishing feature of the young girl was that she had 5 silver crowns on her molars, a type of cap used to cover and protect a damaged tooth, which were easily visible. When the police were informed of the disappearance, they immediately began their investigation. Officers and local volunteers organized numerous search mobilizations, while detectives went door to door seeking evidence and witnesses. Since Jessica and Ty claimed to have seen a man speaking with Morgan before her disappearance, the police compiled a detailed description of the suspect, who was said to be between 23 and 38 years old with black hair sprinkled with gray, and he had a mustache and beard. Witnesses also reported seeing a faded red pickup truck.
And years later, the FBI said they need to know who this dude is. Because weeks later, he tried it again. He tried to abduct a little girl in Van Buren at a Sonic. This is just a couple of months after. Angel Lyon said that game went on an awful late for a Little League game. And that's how they go around here too. Because sometimes they go into extra innings and stuff like that. Sometimes they'll go on to like 11:30 at night. Hence why the kids get so anxious
nearby with a mismatched white camper shell that seemed too small by a couple of inches. They noticed possible damage to the back right corner of the vehicle. Some claimed the truck had Arkansas license plates, but the plate number wasn't recorded. Additionally, upon reviewing home videos recorded at the baseball field, investigators confirmed the existence of the suspect and the aforementioned red truck. However, unfortunately, the recordings were too grainy to provide a clear image of his face. Once Colleen reported Morgan's disappearance, she called her ex-husband and informed him of the situation. Morris seemed devastated by his daughter's disappearance and expressed willingness to cooperate with law enforcement. Surprisingly, during the initial investigation, the girl's father became a potential suspect as some evidence suggested he acted as a low-level drug dealer. He also reportedly had a criminal history, including assault and property damage charges.
And looking back, it was really, really, really sad that so many people were blaming her father when he wasn't anywhere around. He had I'd say a low-level criminal history, hence why him and Morgan's mom weren't together anymore. But he had nothing to do with it. And sometimes with small town police, and I'm not saying Alma, Arkansas, they know that there is a lot of pressure from the villagers, if you know what I mean, to get a case solved. And even if they have the wrong person, they're like, well, they must have done something. And then they don't have the community breathing down their neck. And it looked like that was what was going to happen to Morgan's daddy until the FBI stepped in.
From the beginning of the investigation, Colleen was willing to cooperate with law enforcement in every way because her only wish was for her daughter to return safely. However, when investigators initially suspected Morris, her ex-husband, of being involved in Morgan's disappearance, she felt the police were making a grave mistake. She defended him, claiming he would never harm their children. Fortunately, the police soon ruled out Morris as a person of interest and focused their attention on Clifford Joe Pullen, rumored to be his drug supplier. This individual had a criminal record, and in addition to being arrested for marijuana possession, he had also been charged with first-degree rape of a minor in 1995, suggesting he might be capable of kidnapping. Nevertheless, authorities quickly cleared Clifford of any suspicion and stated he was not involved in Morgan's disappearance. Although the police received numerous leads at the time, none led to Morgan, and months, and then years went by. During this period, information from Albert Harvey, a resident of Stuttgart, Arkansas, seemed promising. He claimed he had seen a man fitting the suspect's description with a blonde child trying to enter his truck. Interestingly, Albert was able to identify the suspect from the sketch.
All right. And this is the official suspect now. We're going to get to the evidence here in a second. I just want to catch people up on the case.
The police used all their resources to scour the area. However, as hours went by without any leads, law enforcement began to doubt his claims. They subjected Albert to 2 polygraph tests, which he failed, and he eventually admitted to lying. The case went cold, and as time passed, the search was no longer for a 6-year-old girl, so the existing photos of Morgan seemed insufficient. To provide a solution, in February 2001, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children released an age-progressed photo showing what Morgan might look like at 12 years old. The intention behind such photographs was to widely disseminate an updated image of Morgan. This way, if someone spotted a teenager resembling the image, they could alert authorities to verify if she was the girl abducted in 1995. Leads in the case were dwindling. Although police vowed that they wouldn't stop working the case until they found Morgan, the trail was growing cold. Searches would continue to be held sporadically, and detectives still followed up on every tip they received, but nothing brought them any closer to finding Morgan. The next lead came in January 2002, when a tip led investigators to search a property in Logan County, Arkansas. A witness claimed that Morgan was buried there. This testimony was so detailed and specific that the police acted on it. However, despite using search dogs and scouring the area thoroughly, nothing was found. On August 14, 2005, ABC's Extreme Makeover, Home Edition, and John Walsh, co-founder of the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, addressed the topic of missing children, highlighting Morgan's abduction. Colin and Morgan's siblings received a new home after their family home was damaged by a water heater explosion. In November 2010, federal investigators searched a vacant house in Spiro, Oklahoma, after receiving a tip from a confidential informant.
In my humble opinion, I still believe that Morgan is somewhere around Spiro, Oklahoma. For one, Billy Jack frequented that area a lot. He had lots of friends there who are, in my opinion, allegedly, dirty dogs like him. And I really think if they work in coordination with the Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation and they excavate different properties, they will find her.
Spiro was about 25 miles from Alma, and the property they searched had once belonged to a convicted child molester who was currently in jail. Although investigators had nothing linking the man to Morgan's disappearance.
I told you, you're not going to find one of these preverts who doesn't have friends that teach freaking Sunday school. You're not going to find one of these dudes like Billy Jack Links. His best friend is going to be an Oxford scholar. It don't work that way. All these scumbags are scumbags. Every damn one of them. Every damn one of them. So, knock me over with a feather. This house in Spiro, Oklahoma, of course, belonged to another assayer.
They searched through the home looking for possible DNA evidence that might indicate Morgan had been there. Unfortunately, they didn't uncover anything related to the case. In August 2012, two convicts, identified as Tonya Smith and James Monhart, were accused of trying to buy some of Morgan's personal documents, including her social security number and birth certificate. While they were found guilty of document forgery, investigations determined they weren't involved in Morgan's disappearance. On December 18, 2017, police...
Now, I want to talk about the two dudes that were buying her social security number. They wanted a copy of her birth certificate. They wanted pictures of her. Anything they could find. Well, I can tell you why. Not because they were trying to get credit in her name, but because anything that was close to this little girl got them off. They offered $500 to anyone that had a picture of her in a bathing suit or little pink shorts.
Conducted another search on a property in Spiro. Some reports said it was for an unrelated investigation, while others believed it was connected to Morgan's case. Notably, The search dogs signaled to a well on the property, which then became the focus of the search. After an intense 24-hour search, investigators left the property without finding any evidence. In November 2021, detectives identified Billy Jack Links as a potential suspect in Morgan Nick's abduction. An Arkansas resident, Billy was a registered sex offender who had been in and out of prison since 1992. Reports suggest he had a typical upbringing, with no apparent signs of deviance. He served in the U.S. Army during World War and later worked for an airline in Dallas before returning to Arkansas. Despite seemingly staying out of trouble, he was arrested and charged with sexual offenses in 1992. 2 months after Morgan's 1995 disappearance, Billy attempted to kidnap an 11-year-old girl only 8 miles from where Morgan vanished.
And hey, I am not going to discount her mother's hopes that she could be alive somewhere. It's happened before. We did a show about Holly, who was raised by other people and didn't know her true identity. She could still be alive. That's her mother's hope, that they're going to find her. I'm not going to discount her hope. No way. No way. But this sick ticket, they're going to find other victims. And the sick tickets he was friends with in Spiro, Oklahoma, I've said it before. I said it about Michael Vaughn before we knew there was 4 suspects. And I'm not saying I'm the all-knowing. I just pat myself on the back when my opinion turns out to be right, okay? I'm not going to bring up the times I was wrong, if you know what I mean. I've said it about Stephen Stearns. We have a ring, my friends. We have a ring of perverts. We have a ring of people that can hide in plain sight before there were traffic cameras, internet, digital footprints. You get where I'm going.
Witnesses reported he drove a red pickup truck, aligning with descriptions from Morgan's case. A week after Billy's arrest, investigators searched his truck, finding hair, fibers, a mesh sheet, rope, a tarp, insulation tape, and blood on one of the seats. The samples were stored for future analysis, but it's unclear if they were tested then. Shortly after his arrest, Arkansas State Police and the FBI tried to question him about Morgan's case, but he invoked his right to an attorney and refused to talk. Regarding the 11-year-old he tried to kidnap, Billy proclaimed his innocence, but he was convicted of sexual solicitation and sentenced to 6 years in prison in 1995. Billy remained behind bars until his sudden illness and death on August 5, 2000. In 2021, a news channel aired a documentary titled Still Missing Morgan. Arkansas police mentioned they were still seeking information about the red truck with an attached white cabin. The documentary led to over 200 new tips, but none have resolved the case. The revelation about Billy Jack Links was the last major update, but Morgan's disappearance remains an active investigation, with the police continuously receiving tips. Meanwhile, Colleen pleads with law enforcement to follow every lead, refusing to rest until his daughter is found, hoping for her safety.
Billy Jack, you spawn of Satan. You spawn of Satan. And you have robbed this family of Morgan Nick. You have robbed her family, the community, the state of Arkansas of justice. Because your ass decided to go to hell early. So while you died peacefully in your cell, look at what you put her through and tried to do to others. I'm telling you, there's more victims.
Safe return. This case has profoundly impacted Arkansas and even influenced the naming of the Amber Alert. The Amber Alert system began in 1996 after the disappearance of Amber Hagerman in Arlington, Texas. Amber is an acronym for America's Missing.
All right. And they still have not found the person that killed Amber Hagerman. No, they have not. Still haven't. Now I'm reaching here. Don't spank me yet. Don't put me in the corner and tell me to sit and shit, okay? By the way, the voice changer this person is using doesn't jive with me, but I do like the facts it's put in this video. I hate when people say Arkansas or Arkansas. It's Arkansas with a W, but there's no W in the word. With his ties to Dallas, I have always wondered if he wasn't responsible for Amber Hagerman too. Not maybe him personally, but his little effed up ring.
Broadcast emergency response, managed under the Department of Justice. The Morgan Nick Amber Alert is Arkansas's name for the program designed to alert the public when a child goes missing. This program is a joint effort between local law enforcement, media outlets, and civic groups to raise awareness about potential abductions, thereby increasing the chances of locating the missing child. Activating the Morgan Nick Alert involves the participation of all Arkansas law enforcement agencies, along with more than 250 local radio stations, TV networks, and other media outlets. This information is quickly disseminated to all parties, enabling them to broadcast details about a possible abduction widely. As of 2023, the case remains unsolved. Since Morgan's disappearance in 1995, her father, Morris, has opted for privacy, preferring not to discuss his daughter's case publicly.
Do you blame him after he got raped over the coals by people in his own community that said he is responsible for his daughter's disappearance? He was cleared. Now, I know people come after me, and that's okay. That's okay. I got thick skin, my friends. I got thick skin. So when people come after me and they're like, what are you doing pointing the finger at Dawn Candace? I'm not literally pointing the finger at them. I am pointing out that they haven't been cleared in their daughter's disappearance. Same with Oakley Carlson's parents and quite a few others.
In contrast, Morgan's mother, Colleen, is vocal about her ongoing efforts to bring Morgan home. Colleen lives in Alma, Arkansas, where she runs the Morgan Nick Foundation, assisting families dealing with abductions or missing persons. Beyond advocating for these families, Colleen spreads awareness about daily dangers faced by children and offers detailed resources to help parents and teachers understand online safety basics and parental control apps. Despite extensive investigations that have yielded thousands of leads, there is still no concrete information on Morgan's whereabouts. The FBI and local communities have offered a reward of $60,000 for information leading to the recovery of Morgan Nick and the...
I think it's more than 60 grand now. I could be wrong. I've been wrong before, and it's okay. I think it's over $100,000. So, when people say, well, with Summer Wells, when her reward was given to the Child Advocacy Center, why are you mad about it? At least they can do some good with it. You're telling me that a reward for a missing child isn't doing something good with it? How does that make any sense? Why would you take away a reward? Speaking of rewards, you guys got rewards coming in left and right. Look at this. Miss Persevere, Jumbo Shrimp, Bobby Ray, RR, Yvonne. You guys were gifted Crime Lines and Lies memberships. My goodness. You never take away a child's reward. You know that chick, 1-800-TBI-FIND, Find Summer, TBI Find or whatever. She comes to a lot of different chats. She used to bust my lady balls all the time and say, well, everybody knew that it was going to go to the Child Advocacy Center. I'm like, that's not the point. That is not the point. You see, some criminals, who, by the way, know the law better than lawyers, they know their dealings in these circles, in these cases. They understand what's called statute of limitations. And they're like, I'll just wait a few more months. Then I'm going to turn in what I know, and I'm going to get the reward. It's happened before. Summer was robbed of her reward. And it's sickening that people think it's A-okay.
Control apps. Despite extensive investigations that have yielded thousands of leads, there is still no concrete information on Morgan's whereabouts. The FBI and local communities have offered a reward of $60,000 for information leading to the recovery of Morgan Nick and the identification, arrest, and conviction of those responsible for her kidnapping. Thank you for supporting my work. Please subscribe, like, and share this video.
You bet. That's Unreal True Crime. I love how they put that together. There has been several pictures over the years, age progressions. Let's go through this real quick, and then we're going to get to the press conference. Y'all have time? Because this is a very, very important case, and it is proof that you never give up hope.
When 6-year-old Morgan Nick suddenly disappeared from this little...
Okay, this says missing for 25 years. We're pushing 30 years. Sad to say, we're pushing 30 years. Like I said earlier, good people are impatient because we want to get shit done. I mean, I can be a real lazy bitch, so, but evil is patient.
League baseball field in Alma, Arkansas, her mom believed Morgan would be found quickly.
I thought when the police got there, I thought that they would know what to do, that they would figure this out, that we would have Morgan back right away. It never crossed my mind that we would be here even a day later.
The day she vanished was June 9th, 1995. Morgan was playing with 2 friends just yards away from her mom and hundreds of people when someone abducted her. For 25 years, Morgan's...
Imagine sitting with a parent and you tell the parent that a true abduction is a 1%. A 1%. Nobody wants anybody to walk around crazy paranoid and feel like they can't look away for a second, because it happens. I've said before, I have 3 sons. They outnumbered me. I've got 2 arms, 2 eyes, and 2 legs. Multiply that by 3. That's what I needed. I needed to be an octopus to keep up with them at all times. What a horrible, horrible feeling. And what makes evil so mad is when evil gets put into good work. The evil that was done to Morgan Nick, there's now a Morgan Nick Foundation. The evil that was done to Adam Walsh, look at what his father has done. The evil that was done to Kyron Horman, look at the Kyron Horman Foundation. The pure evil that was done to Polly Klaas, Look at what her father has done, who, by the way, people accuse him of killing Polly. Devil don't like that.
His family has worked tirelessly to find her.
It was never a thought in my head that Morgan would still be missing for 25 years, that 25 years later, we would still be sitting here.
25 years later, the commitment to Morgan's search is still strong. Alma police are actively investigating Morgan's case, and at the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, we've created this new image of what Morgan might look like now at age 31.
Wow. Wow. She was born in 1989, if I'm doing my math right. Gorgeous little girl. That's what they're saying she would look like now. She don't need to go to South Tulsa Dermatology like me. That's for sure.
Might look like now at age 31. And in Alma, there's a new project underway.
Someone who watches this could be a key to helping find Morgan.
Devin Parks is an Arkansas native working on a documentary called Still Missing Morgan.
My hope for this documentary series is that people will watch this and engage in a way that they may never have. It's a chance for people to not only watch and participate in an experience, but to also participate in the actual process.
No matter what we've done, we've not been able to find Morgan, and someone knows the truth. And so through this documentary, our hope is that someone somewhere will see this and be the key to bring Morgan home.
If you know anything that can help bring Morgan Nick home, please call Alma Police or the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children.
They do amazing work, by the way. I know some people give them hell and they say, well, that doesn't look like what the child would look like. I'm like, oh, just shut up. Just shut up. These people are working their asses off. Calm down. All right, yesterday was the day. The press conference. People have been waiting on for over 29 years. This is when they announced DNA evidence has been found. And they spent bukus, big bucks deluxe at this DNA lab in Texas. Aggie, thank you for the super sticker, my friend. Thank you so much. Thank you for supporting the channel. I love you, my friend.
Walk away from here around 10:45 p.m. on June the 9th, 1995. A suspect description was provided, as was a description of a red truck with a white camper shell that was allegedly involved. Since then, we, along with allied local, state, and federal law enforcement officials, have spent thousands of hours working more than 10,000 leads in this case. One of the early persons of interest in this case was Billy Jack Links. Links was arrested for sexual solicitation of a child on August 29th, 1995 in Van Buren, Arkansas. On that occasion, Links tried to lure an 11-year-old girl into his red pickup truck. This was roughly 12 weeks after Morgan's disappearance. Police questioned Links on August 31st, 1995. He denied any knowledge of Morgan's abduction and at that time appeared to be truthful. Investigators at that time moved on. In July 2019, then Alma Police Department Lieutenant Brett Hartley decided to go back to the beginning of this case to review the case from the beginning. During that process, Lieutenant Hartley spoke with an individual who provided information inspiring him to revisit the possibility that Billy Jack Links might be Morgan's abductor. Investigators worked to locate the truck Links
owned in 1995, and we were able to contact the current owner of that truck. We determined that the owner had no knowledge of Lynx. He gave permission for us to examine the truck for evidence at that time. To that end, investigators arranged for the FBI evidence response team to examine the truck.
To me, this is absolutely amazing that they found the new owner of the truck, and the FBI evidence response team got to work. And they finally got the evidence they needed. However, Morgan's mama isn't going to stop until she finds Morgan. And I don't blame her. Could you even imagine ever having closure in a case like this? All the what ifs and speculation aren't evidence. They're just not.
FBI evidence response team to examine the truck, and they did so on July the 28th, 2020. Among the collection methods the team used was that of vacuuming various locations within the vehicle. In doing so, they produced several vacuum canisters containing various forms of matter, including hair from the vehicle. Upon completion of the collection process, the FBI retained custody of the evidence. In July 2023, Detective Sean Taylor with the Alma Police Department learned of advanced analysis processes that's available at Ortham Laboratory, which is based in Texas. Detective Taylor conferred with a representative of the lab and learned, among other things, they had been successful in developing DNA profiles from hair with or without roots. On September 11th, 2023, Detective Taylor.
Okay, I'll go back to this, but this is absolutely amazing. I have to roll my eyes sometimes when people say, well, they shaved their heads so they couldn't get hair follicle evidence. Look, dude, we've come a long way since Jurassic Park Part 1. They don't need the roots. They don't need anything like that. And this is years later. This is after old boy bought the truck and has been in and out of it, fishing in it, taking it hunting, you name it. This is what you call real police work and real science. If I was some of these people, like Stacy Wandra, Sarah Wandra, Brandon Shurtleff, Adrian Lucian, I'd just go ahead and turn my damn self in and be done with it.
Things. They have been successful in developing DNA profiles from hair with or without roots. On September 11th, 2023, Detective Taylor conferred with an FBI agent to discuss the possibility of sending this trace evidence to Ortham Labs. On September 27th, 2023, Detective Taylor received a package containing this evidence from the FBI, which was originally from the red truck. On December 1st, 2023, Detective Taylor sent this evidence to Ortham Laboratory for testing. And it's at that time that I wish to express my sincere thanks to the Arkansas State Police for providing the funding that was necessary to perform this analysis. On September 27, 2024, Ortham Laboratory sent a report to Detective Taylor stating in essence that they determined that the hair contained in the evidence that was submitted for analysis was that of Colleen Nick, one of her siblings or one of her children. We spent the next few days doing follow-up interviews with members of the Nick family, which revealed that none of them knew Billy Jack Links and that none of them had been in a truck that was similar to this one. The bottom line in this is that the physical evidence collected from the truck that Links owned when Morgan was abducted strongly indicates that Morgan had been in this truck.
Yep. Great job they did. Now there's the naysayers going, you couldn't have figured this out before. Look, I don't know the process. I don't know the process. But this is not the Minority Report where we can predict a crime before it happens, and it won't work that way anyway. They know, or as he said, it strongly suggests Morgan was in his truck, in Billy Jack's truck.
Billy Jack Links died in the year 2000. I think the most important thing here is Morgan is still missing. But we've reached a point where we can concentrate on one suspect to determine the circumstances surrounding Morgan's abduction. How was she taken from the ball field? What happened next? Did Links have help in abducting Morgan or concealing his crime all these years? And where is Morgan now? I can tell you today that this investigation is not over. It is ongoing and active. In the wake of this development,
I guarantee it's even more active now. Beverly lawyer said, can't always believe a polygraph test, devils can pass them. I say it all the time when people say, did they take a polygraph? Did they pass the polygraph? Brooks, what about the polygraph? I don't care. They're not used in court, even though some people come in all the time and go, oh, you can use them in court. You can use them in court. No, you can't. No, you can't. I don't care about a polygraph. Even with this man caught red-handed trying to abduct an 11-year-old little girl from a Sonic, 2 months after Morgan Nick was abducted, guess what? Dun 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 dun. He passed his polygraph. That is how comfortable he is with his evil.
working to expand our understanding of Links and his activities. This includes, for example, additional interviews and re-interviews of known associates. And locating any.
Okay, this is an important word, my friends. I'm going to go back to it. I was listening to this last night. I had to listen to it again this morning. We're going to re-interview known associates. I truly believe there's a ring here. We're going to re-interview his known associates. Again, these are not salt of the earth people. These are not good people. I'm not saying that they steal bubble gum from the Dollar Tree. I'm not saying anything like that. I'm saying they are dirt. I'm saying they are beneath the shit we clean out of our gutters. So they have to re-interview Billy Jack's known associates. I totally believe there's going to be arrests because someone is still alive that knows what happened.
Investigation is not over. It is ongoing and active. In the wake of this development, we're working to expand our understanding of Links and his activities. This includes, for example, additional interviews and re-interviews of known associates, and locating any additional physical evidence. This is where we need your help. We ask that every member of the public who might have information that can help answer these questions, contact us at 1-800-THE-LOST, which is the number for the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. It's 1-800-843-5678. This time we will take a few questions.
Chief, what's the next step on this? And I guess what other information are you still investigating, or is there other evidence that you're still investigating at this point?
Well, like explained, we want to go back and see if there's any more evidence that can be located. Our next step is refocusing on Mr. Links, his activities, and any unknown associates of his at that time.
Have you checked his old house in Van Buren?
There's been some investigations that have been done there, yes.
Is Billy Jack Links being declared as an actual suspect?
As of today, for the first time that I'm aware of in this case, I'm calling Billy Jack Links a suspect in Morgan's abduction.
And as of right now, he's the only person, correct?
He is.
Talk about two things. Nearly 30 years later, that's incredible that you've been able to have this evidence analyzed. Talk about that for me.
Well, I'm not going to stand here and try to answer scientific questions because I don't understand them. The fact is, a laboratory that does this kind of testing.
I'm so glad that this officer isn't sitting there trying to be the all-knowing. Like, I did all this myself. I did it all myself. He's like, I'm not going to answer scientific questions because, well, I don't know. He even used the word lavatory, which is considered a bathroom, as opposed to laboratory. And I'm glad that he said that. Not lavatory, but I'm glad that he said, I cannot sit back and answer scientific questions.
Because I don't understand them. The fact is, a laboratory that does this kind of testing has confirmed that this evidence was located in the truck. It took them a while to get some results, just because you just said it's been almost 30 years, and so the fact that the evidence was degraded, so that it did take some time to provide those results.
And then Links still has family in this area, in this region today. Have they been cooperative?
The family that we have talked to has been cooperative, yes.
How confident are you that this is going to lead to her whereabouts?
I can't answer that right now. We hope that that's the end result, to be able to bring Morgan home.
You mentioned looking at whether he acted alone. Are there any indications that he didn't act alone, or how are you looking into those things?
Well, there's still, as I mentioned, it's still active and ongoing. We don't know if he acted alone or if he had someone with him. Those are some things that we want to go back and try to find out just by mainly interviews and re-examining some of the evidence.
Is there anything that's pointed to that possibility?
As of right now, we have no indication of that, but again, that's something that I can't answer for sure right now.
Are there any more? I'm trying to refresh my memory. Maybe up to speed. I believe it was reported that some people reported a possible red truck, possibly this person in the Kibler area at a river access location. Is that any more information with that? Am I correct when I said that? Not long after the disappearance, matching his description of that truck there.
Yes, there was, if you guys remember, as I know most of you do, there was a lot of reports of this red truck at various locations around that time.
Do you believe that's founded, that report that you received about that truck, that location?
We believe that several of the locations has been confirmed.
Do you know how many hands this truck is being passed over, or has it just been a direct sale to the last person?
It has had a few owners in between.
Man, this makes me want to go out and clean my truck right now. Okay, so this truck has had a few owners in between Billy Jack and the new owner. But yet, hair is still embedded into the weaving of the truck, the floorboards. Goodness. And the fact that after degrading all these years, they made a match. They matched her sister, her mom, not that they were in the truck, but through their samples, they realized that the hair in the truck is Morgan's. And it would be phenomenal if she's alive. That's what her mother believes. Her mother believes she's out there.
And are those like recorded sales, or is that cash on the table type?
No, it's recorded sales.
Did you say you only found one piece of hair, or were there multiple?
It's my understanding there was multiple hairs found, but there was one of them that these results came from.
And has the hair been tested before and now retested?
I can't answer that for sure, but it's my understanding that this hair has never been tested.
As of now, has anyone come forward with additional information about links that maybe said, told me about this? Has anybody else, I know we put this out there, last year, a couple years ago, asking for information about links. Between now and then, has anybody come forward with more information specifically about how?
We have gotten some information on links, but it's not the answer we need. All the information that we've received has been very helpful to this point, but we need more, and that's the purpose of this conference today.
What kind of information are you looking for? Someone knew him, or was it?
Yes, someone that knew him, maybe a witness that has never said anything, maybe someone.
Maybe an ex-girlfriend, maybe someone that lived with him, maybe some of his pervo buddies from Spiro, Oklahoma. Come on. They know who they are. Come on.
That he told something to that has never told anyone.
Chief, prior to the arrest in Van Buren, did he have a criminal record in his past?
Yes, he did.
Was it extensive?
Not to my knowledge. I know he had a previous arrest here in Crawford County a few years prior.
And I know you've looked at him extensively. Can you just simply tell us about links when he lived in this area, briefly about him? Who might have known? I don't know. Tell me about him.
Well, he links us from Crawford County. He had retired from the Texas area and moved to Crawford County, and I'm not sure of those dates, but
I really hope they're talking to the authorities in Dallas to see if they have any unsolved try to snatch a child, a missing child, because dudes like this don't get it right the first time. They don't get it right the first time. And I don't mean what he did was right. I mean, they don't get what they want done the first time.
You know, like I said, he was retired. He was, so he was around this area, had some family around this area. That kind of what you're asking?
Yeah, he lived here for some time. How long? I don't know. I'm just trying to find out more about who this person was. I don't know what his profession was. How long was he here? Just generally, who might have known him? Who did he hang out with? Tell us about it.
It's my understanding, and again, I don't have those dates in front of me right now, but he had lived in the Crawford County area for several years, and it's to my knowledge that he was retired.
What was his age at the time of death?
His age at that time would have been, I believe, 72 years old.
"72 years old. Retired from the airlines. He had been in the Army. Her hair is in his truck, which has been sold over and over and over. He tried to kidnap a girl at the Sonic. Imagine how many other children he victimized or tried to victimize over the years.
Now that he's passed, does this open a whole portfolio on him of looking into his past and other databases to see any, leads to this, or just looking into his past, helping this investigation?
Yes, we're looking into his past. We're hoping that someone has the missing puzzle that we need that can come forward.
We know that he did a attempted kidnapping. Have we talked to that family just to see if he mentioned anything of where they would take her, or any leads of where they would?
Yes, that investigation has been looked at.
Moving forward, what kind of law enforcement presence will be dedicated to this case?
Well, obviously, we have someone that's dedicated to this case. Alma's a small department, but some of us multitask, but we do have an investigator that's dedicated to this case. We have a part-time investigator that's dedicated to this case and this case only. We have good allies with the local, state, and federal law enforcement agencies that has offered any assistance that we need.
I guarantee anyone that can rustle up anyone that knew Billy Jack Links with this evidence now, there was no CODIS system at the time, okay? This is 2024. She was kidnapped in 1995. They're going to shake the shit out of them. I don't mean literally. Until they figure out anything. It can be the smallest thing. The smallest thing he mentioned. Like, where was he the night that she went missing? Somebody knows.
Is it safe to say this is the most significant breakthrough we've had
In my opinion, yes.
And just for clarification, it's that you have Morgan Nix associated with the truck and with Links, but it doesn't necessarily mean that Links had, you don't have any evidence that Links actually did something to her. Is that right?
That is correct. We believe strongly that Morgan was in this truck.
Has the LEO or any officials had a search for this property?
There have been some searches done in the past, yes.
Anything that links
him to that ballpark in the past or that particular evening?
Not to my knowledge, other than some sightings of a similar pickup, if not the truck, in the area.
Okay, one last question, please.
Was there any other evidence found inside that truck that ties Morgan to the truck other than the hair?
I can't answer that right now because I'm honestly not sure what all evidence was collected out of that truck. You know, it was processed by the FBI evidence response team. We were present for that, but there was some evidence that was tested by the FBI, and so some of that is I don't know.
Chief, I see you're going to state police, local prosecutors, FBI. This is everyone who's actively assisting with this. Is that correct? Did I miss anybody?
No, as I mentioned, the state police was a big help in funding this testing. So they're here with us today as assisting us and have offered their resources for us.
Any members like to talk?
Not at this time. I'm going to turn it over to Colleen that wants to say something.
Okay. And this is where I am going to lose it because her mama breaks my heart.
You know, there have been an army of supporters and advocates and heroes who have rallied to uncover the truth about Morgan's disappearance. And you see those people here in this room today. And what I have to say about Billy Jack Links is that he stole Morgan from me. He stole her from her dad. And he stole her from Logan and Taryn. But he didn't see that he could never win. Because our love for Morgan, her memory and her voice outlasted his life. And that love continues to shine. Her heart, Morgan's heart, shines on.
Oh, wow. Okay, I'm going to listen to her again. This woman has held herself with such grace over the years. He will never win.
That wants to say something.
You know, there have been an army of supporters and advocates and heroes who have rallied to uncover the truth about Morgan's disappearance. And you see those people here in this room today. And what I have to say about Billy Jack Links is that he stole Morgan from me. He stole her from her dad. And he stole her from Logan and Taryn. But he didn't see that he could never win. Because our love for Morgan, her memory and her voice outlasted his life. And that love continues to shine. Her heart, Morgan's heart, shines on.
She is... OJ, what? Dang it, OJ. Come on. Get down. Quit it. Quit it. She is an example of class, integrity, perseverance, faith in God, faith in law enforcement, and a mama. she said, I figured we would find her really quick. She got lost, and we'll find her. And after all these years, she's finally getting the answers that she so well deserves. Again, she said yesterday, she still believes she's alive. And boy, I hope she is, because that woman is a walking miracle. I say that because most of us would probably be 6 foot under by now, just from the stress. You guys, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you being here today to talk about a case that is, to some people, older than the people in here. Hell, some of you were born in 97, 98, 99, 2000. But to be here for a case that is so old and to some people forgotten, I just really, really appreciate you, because you're here always for the right reasons. Well, we got more right reasons tomorrow, my friends, because we're doing another show about Maddie Soto. We have a very special guest coming on. Yep, you better believe it. It's going to knock your socks off by who comes to join us tomorrow. Well, thank you, my friends. Thank you, Mod Squad. Welcome, new members. And let's keep the faith, because I'm telling you, justice will come for Morgan Nick. Don't forget, 9 a.m. tomorrow. You're not going to regret it.